It's great to have you here on the Clark Howard Show. You know, our mission is to serve you with advice and information that empowers you so you make better financial decisions in your life. And one way we empower you is through our websites, clark.com and clarkdeals.com. We also have our Team Clark Consumer Action Center, and you can learn how to get in touch with them for one-on-one free advice at clark.com/CAC. I was in Tulsa, Oklahoma this past weekend starting a habitat build. It was our third annual Clark Howard's Blitz build that we did in Tulsa. Started 6 homes, and a gentleman came up to me during the build and he said, I got to tell you, I called your people, and I knew what he meant, the Team Clark Consumer Action Center, and they just did such a wonderful job. They were so kind, and they did so much to help me, and that was so wonderful to hear the benefit that people get from being able to get free, unbiased, one-on-one advice and information. Again, clark.com/CAC. So I'm a little late this year because usually I do this in late May where I talk about sunscreen and how important it is to use it and what you should buy. So I have a brother who has melanoma and is in a continual fight for his life with melanoma. And the reality is, when we were growing up, nobody used sunscreen. If they used anything, they used tanning oil, which put them at more risk. And so this idea is a more recent one about protecting the skin, particularly of younger people, to prevent problems later in life with various forms of skin cancer. And the thing is, you can buy stuff and feel like you're taking care of yourself, and you may not be at all. I'm going to tell you what you need to know to protect yourself. And recently, I took a call about extended warranties on modern cars, you know, since they're basically rolling computers. And I have some new data on how unbelievably expensive it is to fix cars because of how costly components that used to be cheap now are so expensive. So, sunscreen, you go into a store this time of year, and they'll have this big display of sunscreens, all different prices, and it's impossible to know what's really good and what's not. And Consumer Reports each year in the spring puts out a list, having tested very popular sunscreens, tell you what works and what doesn't. And there's something I noticed in this year's survey, that there were 2 things in particular that were so shocking. One is a sunscreen for what I think is the first time I can ever recall, and this is almost impossible to do in any product category in Consumer Reports. A sunscreen got a perfect 100 score because they rate things from 0 to 100. And to get an 100 is like, that just doesn't happen. But an affordable sunscreen that got the top rating and is considered to be a Consumer Reports smart buy was a particular sunscreen from Coppertone. And something else, okay, I'm lazy with this. I like to use the sprays. The reality is the top scorers were all lotions that you apply. You get much better coverage, much better protection from the sun and its harmful rays when you use a lotion instead of a spray. But I'll deal with sprays in a minute. But Coppertone has this one called Coppertone Water Babies Lotion SPF 50. And it's in like a pink kind of thing, like so many baby products are in. I don't care if you're the manliest man out there, use this. Use this. Anybody should use this, because to get a perfect score for skin protection, amazing. But here's the other crazy part of this. And by the way, the retail on that is about $9. The lowest rated lotion of all was another copper tone. Okay, so it goes all the way down to, it gets a score of 17. It's another kids lotion. It's called Copper Tone Kids Tear-Free Lotion SPF 50. So it gets a 17, virtually the same price, not protecting you. The other one, Copper Tone Water Babies Lotion SPF 50, gets the perfect score. So a brand name alone is not enough in this area to protect yourself. To just go and buy what's on the shelf is not going to protect you. And so knowing what is best matters, and this Copper Tone far and away. Now here's the funny thing. So the Copper Tone gets 100, costs $9. The next highest rated, very high score, is something that got a 90. Christa, I'm going to need your help. I'll never pronounce this right. La Roche-Posay?
I think that's right.
Anthelios? Anthelios?
It's another kids one, too. Mm-hmm.
No, it's all one brand. La Roche-Posay.
Right, but it's a kids lotion. Yeah.
Lotion. Oh, yeah. So the kids ones do the best job. Also SPF 50. $33. And it gets a 90. The Copper Tone gets 100 and is $9 retail. That obviously would mean to me that I would not want this thing I can't even pronounce, La Roche. And then what is Everyday Humans? Oh My Bod. You ever heard of Everyday Humans?
I have not, but I'm looking really quick to see if it's a mineral sunscreen.
So that got the third highest score, and it is $15.
Yeah.
So still, for me, the Copper Tone. So does it have chemicals like you were worried about?
Yeah, it does. I mean, every year when you talk about sunscreens,
we get all the posts
there's
about
some people
the
like
chemicals.
me. I mean, they can be called mineral or natural sunscreens, but Consumer Report says that they haven't tested any that are as good in terms of sun protection as the other ones. But I do worry because your skin's your biggest organ, and so I just reapply a lot, and I haven't burned in forever, and I am as pale as you can be. So I get mine at Costco, actually. They have some mineral sunscreens.
And I'm clueless because, you know, when this comes up every year, I'm kind of like
you're like,
deer in
chemicals?
headlights.
I love them.
Yeah, I mean, chemicals. Anyway, I want to do the sprays, though.
Yeah.
Because Trader Joe's, again this year, their Trader Joe's spray SPF 50 is recommended by Consumer Reports. It gets a 74, but it's a spray, and it's $6. So it's the cheapest of the ones, and if you're like me, you're never going to use a lotion. You're going to use a spray. Have the Trader Joe's, because at $6, it's the best deal out there, and you're going to have good care for your skin. Not as good as you're going to have, obviously, with that Copper Tone Water Babies. I want to give the right name. Copper Tone Water Babies Lotion SPF 50.
So the other thing with sprays that people say is like it's not good for it to get into kids' lungs or your lungs. And so I do use one spray. And my trick is I go near this door at the back of my house. I go outside. I take a deep breath and hold it. I spray myself all over. And then I run inside and slam the door, and then I breathe.
You really do all that?
I do that. Yeah, I do. Because I don't want to breathe in that stuff either, you know. No? Okay. Do you want to go to questions?
I can't say anything because that's only going to bring more unhappiness my way.
I know.
So I'm sure you're right to do it. I just hate the smell of that stuff. So that's a good reason to go outside and hold your breath, too.
There you go. Okay. Well, we have our first questions from someone in the Sunshine State. Candace in Florida wrote in and said, I have a 0% car loan balance of $15,994.20 that I plan to pay off on August 8th of this year. I'm paying the minimum amount now, but I do have the full balance in my high yield savings account. Is it okay to put off paying it in full until August so I gain 4% interest until then, or should I just pay it off now?
I mean, earn the spread. You're paying, you got a 0%. It's great that you have the 0%. Let it run. Pay it off as you wish. You'll still earn
So
that
maybe not
interest.
even in August if she wants to keep paying on it and earning the interest.
Well, I don't know when by saying August 8th, I'm assuming the 0% ends
Okay.
at that point. So there is one ripoff here, though. The car loan, even if it had interest, the interest isn't deductible, but you are paying tax on the interest you earn on the savings account, but you're still going to have that spread that's going to be a benefit to you.
Tony in Texas says, I just wanted to share a tip regarding those who are purchasing CDs from online banks. I recently had a CD mature with an online credit union. I transferred the money to their savings account only to find out that they limit the monthly transfers to $5,000. It would take months and months to move that money to my main institution. It seems this transfer limit is becoming more popular. I've come across it with my USAA accounts also, as a way for banks to hold your money longer. Luckily, I discovered that if you initiate the transfer from your main institution, the transfer limit did not apply, and I was able to transfer the entire amount with one transaction.
So that's very interesting that once they have you in-house, they try to meter you on pulling money out. But ACH, where the other institution comes in, I don't know there's any way the existing institution could prevent you from pulling money out like that once it's in a simple savings account or checking account.
Nazish in Georgia says, I'm interested in purchasing a Tesla. I have two concerns. One, how will Elon Musk's erratic and unprofessional behavior affect a new Tesla as an investment? Is it a stable company to give my $50K plus to? And two, when is a good time to purchase a Tesla? Will they continue to go down in prices as they have recently?
So Elon Musk seems to be a little unhinged right now in how he's running his business. And the erratic behavior, I mean, what happened with the undermined the investment community so much, their confidence in Tesla, when he got angry at the manager of the supercharger unit and felt like the manager was dragging her feet on laying off employees. So he said, well, I'm going to show you, and fired her and fired the whole unit. And now it's like, oh, how are we going to handle our superchargers? I mean, it showed extreme emotional immaturity on Elon Musk's part. And there's a real role for the board of directors to play here, but they seem to be handpicked by Elon Musk. So, yes, I'm worried as well about the stability of Elon Musk, his mental stability, and I'm worried about what that does to a company that fully reflects his personality. And nobody's all one thing. I mean, Elon Musk is one of the most brilliant minds of my lifetime. He's also a very troubled individual, and engages in very erratic and immature behavior. So I don't know the answer to that, but I can tell you this, from watching what's going on with technology and the leaps and bounds that are going on with electrification of vehicles, the cost of electric vehicles is going to keep going down, and whether they're from Tesla or anyone else, because they're getting very close to where they're going to be cheaper to manufacture than gas engine vehicles, and that will continue. And so when you buy one, the reality is they're going to depreciate more than a gas engine vehicle, because gas engine vehicle manufacturing is not getting cheaper, but electric vehicle manufacturing is going to steadily get cheaper. And that means each new generation of vehicles will have the ability to have more range, will be able to charge faster, and will become steadily more reliable, which makes used ones kind of sitting ducks in the marketplace. So when is the good time? There's always a question when a product goes through a deflationary cycle that prices are going down. If you wait, you're rewarded later with the price being cheaper. And so when you buy it is when it's right for you. And buying an electric car is one of those things that is a different way of getting around, different form of transportation.
So if you were going to, like, just going back to the stability of the company question, if you had to buy a new car right now, I know you already drive a Tesla, but would you buy a Tesla? Does that factor into you worrying about buying it? Or do you feel like, you know, there's enough?
Would I, if let's say my car croaked today.
Right.
And I was having to get a new vehicle, I would test drive other brands and then make that call. I mean, I love the way a Tesla drives. And I'd want to see, how does a Ford Mach-E drive? How does, a Kia or Hyundai drive? I don't know what products
Maybe you
GM
should
has
test drive some and kind of give your thoughts on it. That would be kind of fun. Since you've driven Teslas for so long, maybe you should drive some other ones, and we could do an article on it. Yeah, that would be kind of fun. Yeah.
Okay, I accept that challenge.
Let's do it.
I accept that. Now, the other thing with cars that is absolutely no fun, coming into the studio today, I saw not one, but 2 wrecks. And everybody was having a really bad start to their day.
Yikes.
In the traffic behind those 2 wrecks. And those wrecks, fortunately, nobody was hurt, but there was meaningful property damage to those vehicles. Not terrible, meaningful at both wrecks. And the cost of repairing them is crazy now. And that brings some really important questions to the table for you and me. And I'm going to talk about that straight ahead. So car wrecks, I mean, it's something, we've all been there pretty much. If you've driven for a long time and you've never been in one, you are one great driver or really lucky, or both. Actually, it would be both. So insurance costs for automobiles have been going way up. I took a question about this recently on the podcast, and I explained about all the electronics in cars and what they've done. And I saw a AAA thing that 1/3 of the cost of repairing things now in cars is because of the sensors and cameras that are now embedded all different places in vehicles. And this is also why so many vehicles in the past would not have been totaled now are. I'm thinking about there were 2 cars in each accident, and one of them was an older car. I mean, it's absolutely going to be totaled. There's not even a doubt in my mind, even though the damage visually was so minor, that when the adjuster comes, he or she's going to say, nope, this one's done. This one's toast. Because typically the auto insures 70% damage, 70% versus the value of the vehicle. At that point, they just total it out, because once a repair starts, there's always other things that are found, and they don't want to end up in a situation where they're paying more than what the vehicle's worth to repair it. And so this has all changed the equation. And the question I had most recently was about, should I buy an extended warranty on a vehicle because of all the electronics? And this is tough stuff to decide on, particularly because there are so many snakes in the grass in the car warranty business. And if you're in a car still under manufacturer's warranty, and before that manufacturer's warranty, you've got an opportunity to buy an extension of it from the manufacturer, and you're planning to keep the vehicle moving forward, I'm completely neutral, but it's fine with me if you want to buy that. So I don't like you buying it up front, because you may get a vehicle and for whatever reason you don't keep that vehicle, and you've already bought this extension of a warranty that you never get a chance to use because you're still under the manufacturers at the time that, well, let's go negative. Your vehicle's stolen, not recovered. It's in a wreck and not repairable, all those things. So with a manufacturer's extension, as long as you buy it while the manufacturer's warranty is still in play, with almost all brands, you can buy that extension at that time. And if the vehicle's proved to be extremely reliable, then you probably wouldn't want to buy it even then. Because, again, the payoff on these warranties isn't great, what you pay for them versus what you get back. But if you have a big electronics item go bad on you, then at that point it's going to feel like, wow, this is great. I got this. I'm not having to lay out $3,000 or $4,000 for this, that, or the other. And you hear how wishy-washy I am on this? You hear it? Why am I so wishy-washy? Okay, every other kind of extended warranty, you always hear me say, don't buy, don't buy, don't buy, don't buy. Why am I in this wishy-washy state about cars? Because you have to have your car to get to work. I mean, you got to. You don't have it, can't get to work. Can't earn a living. Most people cannot afford a giant repair if one comes out of nowhere. Transmission croaks, the engine croaks, whatever, you're out of warranty. So that's why if your financial situation would not allow you to deal with that kind of Armageddon, buying an extension of the manufacturer's own warranty, I can see it. It makes sense. And what have I said now 7 times? Manufacturer's own. You don't buy from third parties. Why? Because the third parties have proven to be unbelievably unreliable or crooked, or even vanish in the night. So the dealer is always going to push the third-party paper because the way it's marketed to them is if they sell the manufacturer's own, they get a teensy tiny commission. But if they sell the third-party paper, they make a gigantic commission. And they don't care if it doesn't help you, but it sure is helping them. So that's why if you want one, buy the manufacturer's own. And with your car you've got, know that an amazingly minor accident where the good thing is no one's hurt can still leave your wallet hurt, because so often that vehicle will be totaled when you're looking, huh? There was almost nothing wrong with it. And it still gets totaled out. By the way, your little mishap with your mirror, how much was that repair?
I think it was about $500.
$500, and it was just the casing.
No, they ended up replacing the whole mirror because it's and it's an electronic,
because it was all one unit.
Yeah.
Because it looked like all it was missing was the, would you call it the sheathing?
Yeah, that's what they thought, but then the mirror it wasn't moving properly. So, thanks for that reminder.
$500.
Yeah. All right, we'll go to questions.
But now you have a mirror on the passenger side of your car again.
I like having that. Rich in Oregon says, decades ago, I worked at a Shell gasoline station. Gasoline was delivered in a Shell-branded tank truck. Other stations, Gulf, Phillips 66, and Sunoco, to name a few more, received gasoline in similarly branded tank trucks. Nowadays, I see deliveries made by non-branded, independently owned tanks. How can I know that the gasoline at a Chevron station, for example, is truly Chevron?
So what makes gasoline a particular brand are the additives that they add in, and many times they're added in by the tank farm driver at the individual station. And so it is not at all unusual, even with tank farms, sharing fuel with each other when one may be low of a particular grade or whatever, they'll share with another, and then the additives are added later. There are differences from gasoline to gasoline, and the standard that I like for you to look at is, instead of the brand name on the station, that the gas is top tier. Top tier gas, the engineers say that top tier gas actually is worth it, is valuable. In terms of the brand name on the station, not as much. But the way the whole tank farm thing works is so wildly complicated. I once had a friend who worked at a tank farm, and I remember she thought it was the funniest thing ever because she'd never had anybody ask so many enthusiastic questions about how it worked at the tank farm.
Yeah, not usually great party combo.
Yeah, I mean, definitely not one of those things people would ask about. And I was asking every possible question
That's awesome.
about it, to the point that she's like, "Are you done yet?"
That's great. I love it. Okay, Jared in New York says, my 14-year-old will be traveling to Italy next February with her Latin class. What is the best way to handle her finances while she is there? We were told she needs cash to tip bus drivers and tour guides. Also, she will be responsible for her own lunch. Breakfast and dinner are part of the package. Should we make her an authorized user on our credit and debit cards? Should we have her withdraw a few hundred euros from an ATM? Any insight or tips would be appreciated.
So this situation is a common one with these school trips, and I really like the Revolut card for this purpose, REVOLUT. I think it's a European card maybe, but the Revolut card is really good because it's an ultra cheap way, Revolut, to send money from one currency into another at a fraction of the cost of what the banks charge. And they also have a Revolut, I think it's a Visa card, not a MasterCard, that you can load money on for purchases in the local currency where she is with her Latin class in Europe, and also to withdraw money for tips that she would be handing out. We have a guide, by the way, on Clark.com for the cheapest ways to send money overseas.
And Revolut's included
Revolut
in
is
there.
obviously one of the choices we have on there, but their embedded thing with being able to wire money a lot cheaper, and having the card that you can travel with, that you load. It's basically a stored value card that you load a certain amount of US dollars on, and then you can withdraw from ATMs as you need, and you can use it in local currency at very, very much better than normal exchange rates. So, and make sure that your 14-year-old learns something that will help you a lot in the cost of her trip. She's going to be tricked over and over again when she uses, and this is true for any credit card or debit card you use across Europe now, most countries. They're going to try to trick you into popping up US dollars for the purchase. No, you always want to clear in euro or pounds or Swiss francs, whatever the local currency is, and always say no, because what will pop up first, any American with an American credit card, it'll pop up paying in US dollars. You think they're doing you a favor? They're charging you 7 to 10% more for every transaction you do when they pop up clearing it in US dollars instead of local currency.
What do you think also of them, if they don't make her an authorized user on one of their cards, or if they do, having her use Apple Pay or Google Wallet to do transactions electronically with that?
That's fine. That's fine to do.
For like lunch or whatever.
Yeah, I mean, it's just the backbone of what she should have is not one of your cards at 14. Should be something like Revolut. And if you want to load the Revolut onto Apple Pay or GPay, that's fine with me.
Noble in Georgia says, we recently had some severe weather come through the area that included some hail. Since then, both myself and my workplace have been inundated with phone calls, mail, and in-person cold calls from roofing companies asking to come out and do a quote-unquote free inspection on the roof.
Yeah.
I'm usually skeptical of telemarketing solicitations, but if it really is a free inspection, is there any potential harm with letting a company inspect my roof? Full disclosure, I don't think there's been any significant damage to the roof, and it's only 8 years old. Longtime fan, thank you for any guidance you can provide.
Of course, and this is not a noble cause of these solicitors. They're storm chasers, and this happens after every storm. This is common in Texas, common in Florida. You're in Georgia. I'm not familiar with it being a common routine, where after a storm, they just start randomly calling with solicitors for the free inspection. And somehow, some way, they say the roof's damaged everywhere they inspect. Oh my goodness, what's this about? It's about insurance. They want to then make a claim against your insurance. In fact, the legislature in Florida just changed insurance law to try to rein in this practice of the storm chasers with the supposed roof damage. So you got an 8-year-old roof, and I guess it's possible there's damage to your roof. And if your insurer is like others, they are monitoring your house routinely with aerial technology, and they will advise you if there's damage to your roof, if you need be. Or if you have a kid in your house who loves flying a drone, they can fly a drone above your roof and can go all around it. And you can look at the video and see if there's any damage to your roof. But better yet, if you're worried, you can have a local roofing company that you know, that you trust, maybe that put in that roof 8 years ago. And they can inspect it and say everything's all good or everything's not. You just don't want to make an appointment with any of these solicitors, because remember what they're about. They're about coming in and saying, oh yeah. They're trying to get work for themselves, and they're trying to tell you it's going to be free for you because insurance is going to pay. And then ultimately, who pays? We all do, from premature replacement of roofs that don't need the replacement. And yes, there are people who have roofs that legitimately need replacing following a storm. And that's what insurance should be for, not for lining the pockets of solicitors selling you roof jobs you don't need. I want to thank you so much for joining us today. I hope you have an absolutely wonderful rest of your day and know what we're about, that you learn ways to save more, spend less, and avoid getting ripped off. See you tomorrow.